Hi all, today we discuss theorem 1. This is the theorem 1 of the chapter 11. In chapter 11 we have discussed the local parameterization, existence of the local parameterization and the uniqueness of that up to the reparameterization in chapter 10. And in the 11th chapter we have discussed the length of the parameterized curve. Okay. Now we discuss theorem 1, which gives the characterization of existence of the global parameterization. So the global parameterization is nothing but the local parameterization with ontoness. So we start with, this is the characterization. Whenever this C is connected, then we can say that there is a global parameterization. So one of the implications is very trivial. If we assume the global existence of the global parameterization, then that means if you have a curve like this, suppose we have, if we have alpha or p belongs to this C, then once you assume the global parameterization here, of course there is a local parameterization, say that is alpha is from I to C be the local parameterization, then this alpha is alpha can be taken as the maximal integral curve of the vector field x, okay, through P. So this is the this gives the local parameterization, where x is obtained by rotating the normal vector field, say n, if n is equal to del f by norm del f, n is equal to del f divided by norm del f. Okay, so this is the and then x is defined to be the vector field obtained by rotating this n through minus pi by 2 degrees, so that will give dou f by dou x2 and minus dou f by dou x1. So the maximal integral of this is alpha, and alpha gives the local parameterization. If this alpha is onto, then we can onto means this image alpha is same as C. Then if you get any p1, then this p1 belongs to image alpha as well. So there is a continuous map, say alpha from this some closed interval to this C, such that alpha of some quantity t1 is equal to p and alpha of t2 is equal to p1. So this gives the continuous path connecting these p1 and p and p1. So this gives, whenever we assume the global parameterization or the ontoness of this alpha, then you can easily get the connectedness as well. So now for the converse, we first assume the connectedness, then we will construct the global parameterization, or we will prove that this local parameterization is a global parameterization as well. So that we assume C is connected. So for since C is connected, then there is a continuous map beta from AB to C with the property that beta of A is equal to P and beta of B is equal to P1. Okay, so our intention is to prove this image alpha is onto, sorry, this alpha is onto, that image alpha is C. So by assuming the connectedness, we will prove that this one image alpha is equal to C, where this alpha is the local parameterization. So if you choose any p1 belongs to that C, we will prove that p1 belongs to image alpha. This is the requirement by assuming this C is connected. So if we have this connectedness, then there exists a continuous map connecting these two points on C. So this beta is the such continuous map. Then proof will be complete if we show that beta of t belongs to image alpha, because if beta of t belongs to image alpha for all t belongs to AB, then beta of B which is equal to P1, that is also in image alpha, which proves this condition, P1 belongs to image alpha for every P1. So our intention is to prove this beta of t belongs to image alpha for all t belongs to AB. Okay, to prove this, let we denote T naught is the least upper bound, that is the supremum of this set. Okay, this set is set of all t belongs to AB such that beta of this interval a comma t is contained in image alpha. Okay, and let the gamma be the integral curve. If we set t naught, this is our t naught, we denote t naught is equal to supremum of set of all t belongs to AB, okay, such that this beta of a comma t is fully contained in image alpha. So this is the t naught. That means if we choose any t less than t naught, we can get beta of a t is fully contained in image alpha. This is the requirement. So we will prove that this set is empty. Okay, that means otherwise this t naught is equal to b. So this is what we have to prove. So for that we consider beta of t naught. Okay, this anyway this beta of t naught is always in C because beta is a function from AB to C. So this is due to the continuity. So we have this is always in C, and beta of t naught belongs to C. Now we consider P naught is equal to beta of t naught. So that is given here. If we denote this P naught is equal to beta t naught, then you can consider the integral curve gamma through this integral curve of x, okay, through this beta of t naught, okay, through this P naught. Then that integral curve satisfies gamma of 0 is equal to this thing P naught, which is equal to beta of t naught. Okay, now we will construct an open rectangle B about P naught. About this, if this is our P naught, we will construct an open rectangle here such that this is B, such that C intersection B. That means the portion of this plane curve in this interval, that is what we have denoted by C intersection B, which is fully contained in image gamma. Okay, we will later we will construct such a open rectangle B. Once you construct that open rectangle B satisfying this condition, then by the continuity of beta we can get a open interval, that means set of t such that t minus t naught less than delta, satisfying this beta of t belongs to or contained in image gamma. Okay, once you construct C intersection B is contained in image gamma, then consequently you can get beta of t belongs to image gamma for t such that t minus t naught is less than delta. Okay, and this is because the continuity of this beta, because we know that when you construct a open rectangle this B, if this is our B, then we know that beta of t naught, if we were constructing this B at the point beta of t naught, then we know that beta of t naught belongs to this B. Okay, they are using the continuity. So there is an open set containing beta of t naught, then there exists an open set at t naught. So that is denoted by this symbol such that image of every point of this open interval is contained in this B itself. Okay, so this beta of t belongs to, in order to get this, we have beta of t is fully contained in B, and beta of t is always an element of C. Okay, because beta is from AB to C. So from this you can get beta of t is contained in or beta of t belongs to this B intersection, this belongs to B intersection C. Consequently, that will be in image gamma if you construct such B or B satisfying this condition, then you can get beta of t belongs to image gamma. Okay, so here we have there exists delta such that beta of t belongs to B. Consequently, this beta of t belongs to the image gamma for all t satisfying this condition, this t minus t naught less than delta. If this is the case, then you can easily find a t which is less than t naught, because this is the interval about t naught. Then you can choose a t which is less than t naught such that this beta of t belongs to image gamma as well as beta of t belongs to image alpha. But we know that this is because the selection of t naught is supremum of this. Then we can get any t less than t naught beta of a comma t contained in image alpha. So we can easily choose a t. Okay, there is some t such that beta of t belongs to image gamma and image alpha. That means beta of t belongs to the intersection of these two for some t. Okay, therefore gamma and alpha are integral curves through integrals of the same vector field x passing through a common point. Okay, and this alpha is the maximal integral curve. Then that maximal integral curve can be considered as or any other integral curve gamma of t can be considered as a translation of this maximal integral curve. Then this gamma of t can be written as t minus some tau, some real number tau belongs to R. So this is the case, gamma of t is equal to alpha of t minus tau. This is the maximum integral curve. That means this is true for all t belongs to the domain of this gamma. Okay, then we have image gamma is contained in image alpha. Consequently, we can get beta of t belongs to image gamma for all t such that or all t belongs to t naught minus delta and t naught plus delta. Okay, so since this image gamma is contained in image alpha, then we have beta of t belongs to image alpha for all t belongs to t naught minus delta, t naught plus delta. That means you can find a t which is greater than t naught, such that beta of t belongs to image alpha. Okay, so this is the contradiction. Okay, because t naught is the supremum of this set. So any other any quantity t which is greater than t naught is not an upper bound of the set. Okay, therefore we can get a beta of t which is not contained in image alpha. That's the contradiction. If we choose any t greater than t naught, then we cannot get this beta of t is fully contained in image alpha. So this is a contradiction. Or this happens only if this we can say that there is no such point exists in the domain of t. That means the t naught is always b. Okay, so consequently we can get t naught is equal to b. Okay, and beta of t naught is equal belongs to the image of alpha. So beta of t belongs to image of alpha for all t belongs to ab as claimed. Okay, so this is the proof. So it only remains to show that there exists a b satisfying this condition. We need to construct such a open rectangle. Okay, to construct an open rectangle, we consider two vectors v and u. This is our u and this is v. These are the two vectors at p naught. Okay, so we construct a rectangle. If this is our curve, then this is p naught. Suppose we have a p here and we have a p1 here, and this is our p naught, that is beta of t naught. Then if you consider the normal at this point and tangent at this point. So this is defined to be v and this is u, and using these two quantities we construct a rectangle first. Okay, so this is our rectangle A. So this rectangle is defined as p naught plus ru plus sv. Okay, so this is the rectangle for r less than epsilon 1 and mod s less than epsilon 2. So this epsilon and epsilon 2 are chosen small enough so that anyway this curve is always in a domain of u, where f is from u to c and f inverse c is equal to our curve c. Okay, so this is the case. So we need to consider the first of all defined A, which is fully contained in u, and that this del q dot qv is greater than 0. Okay, this is because if you consider the function del f q dot q comma v, okay, del f q dot q comma v, consider this function. We know that this function is always continuous because del f is continuous and this is continuous, so dot product is also continuous. So this is a continuous function. Okay, at the point p naught, del f p naught dot p naught comma v, so both will give the same vector because this u is the so u is the vector defined by this and v is the vector this, and if you consider v p naught comma v, then that is this vector, and del f p naught is also same as this one. So that will give the dou f by dou x1 square plus dou f by dou x2 square. So that is always greater than 0. That means at the point p naught this function is positive. Okay, if this is the case, then we can get a open rectangle such that this function is always greater than 0 for all q belongs to that open rectangle. So you shrink this A in such a way that this is always greater than 0 for all q belongs to A. Okay, so that is the this last condition can be satisfied the consequence of the continuity of this function and the fact that at one point the value is always positive. Okay, so we have this is always greater than 0 for all q belongs to A, which guarantees that if you consider a function GRS, okay, so this is a function from minus epsilon 2 comma epsilon 2 to R defined by this GR of S is equal to f of something. Okay, so this is defined by this function, but we know that the derivative GR dash S is del f dot this V, that is the derivative of this. Okay, when you consider that, that is always positive because of this condition. Okay, so once you define GR of S, then the derivative of GR is always positive, then this is always increasing. So this is continuous and increasing. That means once this GR of S attains C, so that is the only one point. Okay, in other words, you can say that if you, for each R with a mode R less than epsilon 1, there is at most one S with satisfying this condition such that this belongs to C. Okay, that means if you consider if you fix an R, then you can get points on these lines. Okay, if this is R is equal to R1, then you can get all points on this one. If R is equal to R2, then you get points on this one. So this shows that if you fix one R, then whenever this G attains C, that means f of this quantity is equal to C, then that point is all at most 1. Okay, once you attain this quantity is equal to C, then that is the only such point. Okay, but you may get an R such that that G doesn't attains that C. In this R, if this is R, then you can say that GR of S never be C on this. Okay, whenever a point image of a point is C, then that is in the plane curve what we have considered here. Okay, so this condition shows that there is at most one S such that this quantity belongs to C. Okay, now we will consider gamma of T. Okay, gamma of T, if gamma of T belongs to this, if any gamma of T, if this is gamma of T in this, then this gamma of T can be written as P naught plus this gamma of T take the form P naught plus something into U plus something into V, and we denote this scalar as H1 of T and this scalar as H2 of T. For if gamma of T varies over all this this rectangle, then gamma of T takes this form P naught plus something U plus something V, and call those coefficients or scalars as H1 of T and H2 of T. Okay, so once you consider such gamma of T, then gamma of T, we have gamma of T is equal to, gamma of T takes the form P naught plus H1 of T times U plus H2 of T times V. This is our gamma of T. Okay, then from this you can write H1 of T by transposing this P naught to left and taking dot product with this U. Then that will be gamma of T minus P naught dot U will give the when you take this one that will be norm U square, because U dot V is equal to 0, then this will be 0, and by taking dot product with U you can get norm U square into H1 of T. So this implies H1 of T is equal to this one, gamma of T minus P naught dot U by norm U square. Similarly H2 of T, H2 of T takes this form. Okay, from this you can write what is H1 of 0. H1 of 0 is gamma of 0 minus P naught dot U divided by norm U square, but we know that gamma 0 is same as P naught, because gamma of 0 is equal to beta of T naught. Beta of T naught is same as P naught, then this will be 0. Similarly H1 0 and H2 is 0. Okay, and what is H1 dash 0? H1 dash, that is the derivative of this H1 dash. H1 dash is equal to gamma dot 0 dot this. Okay, that is the that is obtained from this one. Okay, gamma or from this one. From this you can write gamma dot. Gamma dot of T is equal to H1 dash of T times U plus h2 dash t times u. Okay, then what is gamma dot 0? That is because the derivative of p naught is 0, this is h1 dash 0 dot u, h2 dash 0 dot u. By taking dot product with u, you can get this term will be 0, then that will be gamma dot 0 minus this not minus gamma dot 0 minus, so this times p naught comma u divided by norm u square. That means the vector, that is from by taking dot product with u, you can get this is gamma dot 0 dot u, okay, into norm u square. So by transposing norm u square to left, you can get this one. Okay, so when you consider this, then gamma dot 0 is same as x of this p naught. Okay, so that is because this is because gamma is the integral curve of x through p naught. Okay, now this is also this u is also, or this vector is the vector assigned by x of p naught divided by x of p naught square. Okay, this is 1. Okay, because this dot product is norm x of p naught whole square. So this is the case, then we can get h1 of 0 is equal to 1. So at the point 0, h1 dash is positive. Okay, so this is the case. So we have since this h1 dash is positive, means and using the continuity of this h1 dash at 1.0, then you can easily get an interval about 0 such that this h1 dash of t is always greater than 0 in some interval about this 0. Okay, so we have this t1 less than 0 less than t2 in this interval. We have for all t belongs to this interval, we have h1 dash t greater than 0. Okay, so that is what we have written here. Choose t1 less than 0, t2 less than t1 less than 0, t2 greater than 0. That means an interval about 0 at which this is positive. This is possible because at the point 0, this derivative is always 1. Okay, that means when you consider the function h1, we know that at the point 0, h1 dash, this is the function, the graph of h1 dash. So at the point 0, this is here. Okay, then using the continuity of this, you can get an interval like this, t1 and t2 at which the function is always positive here. This h1 dash is always positive here. Okay, and that means this h1 dash is positive, means h1 is always increasing. So we consider the graph of h1, we can consider at the interval t1 and t2, this h1 is always increasing, the increasing function. Okay, so we have due to this we can get r1 equal to if h1 t1, we call this in the graph of h1, we call this as h1 of t1 and this is our h1 of t2. Okay, so r1, this is what we called r1 and this interval is r2 and this is r1. Okay, if we set r1 is equal to h1 t1, r2 is equal to h2 t2, for each r belongs to, in between this, there is exactly one t belongs to t1 and t2 such that this h1 of t is equal to r. Okay, and corresponding to this t, we define h2 of t as s. Okay, then we have this mode, whenever mode s is less than epsilon 2, we have p naught plus ru plus s v is belongs to c only once or exactly once. Now if that means if we set the domain of the range of s is same as this one and the range of r is defined to be r1 less than r2, in this range or in this rectangle we define that rectangle as B, then we can get that every point on that or C intersection B belongs to image of gamma, because if we have a point in this intersection P0 plus RU plus SV, we can get R is equal to H1T and S equal to H2 of T for some. Okay, so for those values H1 of T and H2 of T, we have that quantity is always is equal to gamma of T. So that is always in image gamma. Okay, then for this open rectangle B, we have C intersection B is contained in image gamma. Okay, so this proves the construction of B. Okay, consequently this proves the theorem. Okay.